Welcome back to another episode of the IndieFilm Insider podcast. My name is Owen, DP and producer, here with
Jake Rossfell, a writer and director.
And today we're going to talk about, 5-ish mistakes that we made in our old films? I don't know, something like that. Basically, we've made an amount of films in the past, and we did a whole, I don't know if that was a podcast episode or just a video kind of going over all those films and kind of reacting to them with one of our friends, Eric. That'll be in the description. But today we're going to go over and kind of talk through some of the mistakes that we've made while making those films, kind of starting with the earlier ones where it's kind of more broad, like no shit Sherlock type mistakes, and then we're going to go kind of into some of the more specific ones that we've made with some of our more recent films.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have I think I have like 4-ish, so I don't know how many you have, but it'll hopefully I'll think of some too while we go on this journey.
I have approximately one per film.
Okay, because I went a little bit more general. I kind of kept it to just things that I used to do versus things that I do now, because I was trying to think of like what made me such a shit director back then, and not that I'm any better now, but just trying to think of stuff that would be like that I used to, things that I would never do again, and things that I'd hope people stop doing, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, pardon me, because like there's some of the ones that I have kind of written down. I hope they're not too broad for some of the earlier. So I'm just gonna start with one of the first ones. Turn my volume down here a little bit. This is in regards to Milk. This is the first film that we kind of made back in 2023. It's shoot using a monitoring LUT. And I know, like I said, I know that's pretty broad, but for Milk, it was shot, not all, but like the vast majority of it was shot at night. And did I even use an external monitor?
You did on a couple. I remember on like the campfire stuff we had a monitor, I'm pretty sure, because I remember I like pulled focus for the one shot of on Jay for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, that was your like Andy Cine one, right?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, so I just ran the HDMI cable from the camera to the monitor. I shot it all at FX3 12,800 ISO, and I just kind of shot it all in S-Log3. And as a result of that, it looked good in the camera, but obviously when you throw the LUT on in post, it kind of brings it down, like, I don't know, a stop maybe. But just as a result of cranking the contrast, it made it a lot darker than I originally wanted and originally intended. And it wasn't like the end of the world, but it would have been way nicer to actually know what it would look like in camera.
What would you say that you learned about night shooting from that? Because that was I think that it was quite nice that our first film had so many night scenes, as it was just basically one big night scene. Do you think that was a very, I mean, maybe not a good move, but a good starting point for your future cinematographic endeavors?
God, I don't think it was a bad idea by any means. Like the most like famous I don't know if pitfall is the right word, but like thing that people say in regards to like starting like new cinematographers is the exterior night scenes are the hardest to light correctly. And I think that we did pretty well on that. At least in my opinion. Obviously, like, it's not gonna fucking look like there's like the BZS picture of The Last of Us, where they like the correct way you light a night scene is to put like fucking multiple 1200 watt lights on a fucking cherry picker, which obviously you can't do if you have no money, right? And so I think what you kind of have to do with night scenes is pick locations well, ones that have lots of motivated lighting, and that introduce also lots of motivated lighting. Like the final scene from that movie was this like ditch kind of next to this church, and you can't really see. We just kind of like, I had someone hold up a fucking tube light from like way above us because we were, like I said, in this ditch. I actually think that all turned out pretty well. One of the side lights of that, there was like a light on the side of that church that was really warm, and we used that to motivate like a nice backlight in some of the scenes, like in the reshoots, but we didn't actually do that in the actual shoot, and you're kind of able to tell if you like watch and pay attention to it. But basically, like in regards to lighting night exterior scenes on a low budget, just kind of be sure to pick your locations well, and if you can, try to add light sources that you can motivate from in the scene.
Yeah, and then I think directing wise, a huge thing I learned from that. I learned a lot of things from that, but one of the main things and one of the things I have written down is just casting, putting your friends in your films. And I get that. Obviously, like I'm actually glad that we did that because we wouldn't have made the film otherwise because we didn't really know, like we barely knew what backstage was. And I think us, especially me, I would be very embarrassed trying to direct people who we got from backstage, like if they were just if they were the main cast.
Sure.
But I think that at a certain point it's a habit that you need to break as soon as possible because we kind of, again, we'll get into that territory when we get there, with the film that shall not be named, but we kind of
Oh
kept
God.
trying to use, just people we knew as the main cast of our film. And I'm glad that we have since pretty much all together. When was the last time we had like one of our friends just fucking in a film? Was the last one Old Wounds?
I
It,
think so.
yeah, I
That
think it
sounds
was.
right.
I think it was. So I think yeah. Sorry. Oh fuck. I did not mean to name Old Wounds, the monstrous film.
The film
Um,
that will not be named.
yeah, sorry, the film that will not be named. But yeah, I think that is like you see it a lot, and you can definitely tell when you're watching a short film at a film festival, and you're like, okay, that film was just made by a bunch of people who are friends, and they're just messing around, which
Yeah.
is not bad, but if you're trying to be serious, it's not great.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that kind of point is less so like a mistake that you made and more so like a kind of a natural progression that a lot of filmmakers do. Of course, when you're starting out, you don't really know like where to hire people or even that you should hire people. You're like, "Oh yeah, I'll just have some of my friends in here." And that's fine to start like when you're first getting the basics of it. Like I don't think we like that year was or that film was the first film that we actually had anyone who we didn't know in the films. And of course, yeah, like you said, hiring actors does make the film substantially better, but I think that was less so like a specific mistake and more so just like, yeah, this we've gotten to the point in our filmmaking journeys where it's necessary to hire actors as opposed to just like grabbing people that we know.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Maybe, yeah, maybe not so much a mistake, just a lesson I learned.
Yeah, fair
God.
enough.
Yeah, my next thing, because again, I didn't really go in order of. Do you want to actually start off the next one since you kind of went in order of films? Then I can kind of branch off of yours and try to see if mine coincide with yours.
Yeah, what would the next one be, Man versus? I mean, I didn't really have anything for Man versus Road because that was kind of just a throw, not a throwaway, but like one that we didn't really try super hard on.
Yeah, Man versus Road. Was that the next one? Because there was Milk. Yeah, I think it was MBR, and then maybe Bed Play. I don't know. I don't know the order of Bed.
Actually no, it was Bed Play first, but I
Okay,
didn't
yeah,
really have too much for those because those I'm not gonna say we didn't try, but they weren't as serious.
yeah, that's fair enough. I guess that would make probably our next one Old Wounds.
Yeah, sure.
Um, yeah, I mean, Old Wounds. I have a lot of stuff. I think
Yeah, let's talk about them.
one thing for sure though is rehearsals. Because we did like one table read and maybe a couple. Maybe it was two. Was it two table reads? I don't remember.
I think it was only one.
Because I know we have one on video we have one on video.
Yes.
I don't know why we videoed the full hour of that. And by the way, that seems kind of unnecessary. Um, but kind of cool, I guess, to have. But yeah, I think it's obviously you can't if you're not paying people, you can't really expect them to like show up for a bunch of rehearsals before the actual shoot because it takes so much time to do those things. But I think just sort of get them by any means possible. Like the other day, we were doing a rehearsal for our upcoming film, The Big Slick, and our one of the actors wasn't able to make it last minute, so I just kind of hopped on. I think I texted you, and our first AD, I was like, hey, do you guys want to hop on and say all the girl
Yeah.
lines? And I was just doing that to see if someone else could hop on for a second, but that was fine because all I did was we just went through the script, me and Raz and Zach, and I just read for Amy's lines, and it was fine. But I was I was very determined to actually get the rehearsal done, even if one of the actors wasn't there, because it's just important to
Yeah.
get it in as many times as possible. And since we're like, I think less than 2 weeks out, I want to still get like at least like two more in, just to fully rehearse everything, because that'll make everything so much smoother on set for the crew and the cast.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see how, like, the difference, because, like, obviously I think you have all these rehearsals at shit times, at least from my end, so I'm not actually able to kind of see them, but I'm very interested to see how smooth this one is gonna be compared to all the other ones where we haven't had either the time or knowledge to do rehearsals.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say too is, to anyone who's interested in like doing rehearsals like online or whatever, I highly recommend that if you don't have like someone else to read like the action, just don't read the action lines at all. If it's just you and your actors, just have them read that, like have them skip all the action. Maybe they can like act it out. But the first time I did a rehearsal for Big Slick with all three of them, I was reading the action lines, and I realized how like I guess exhaustive that was, because I did all that and then I didn't really have too
Yeah.
much to say afterward, because I like was just reading the entire script essentially and not really like paying attention to them. And then Raz
Or
was
even,
like,
like, irrelevant.
yeah,
Like, it doesn't really, like, if it's something that really matters, like he, I don't know, gets smacked in the head or something, then like he'll be able to reenact that, or it's just not necessary to say.
yeah, because they've read it. They know that like something's gonna happen there. They know that stuff. And that stuff is for, you work that out. If you're in person, then it's relevant to actually act it, not say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember, yeah, because Raz was like, do you want us to do the dialogue for this one? I was like, yes, actually, let's do that. So that's I'll never read fucking action again, because God, yeah, it was super helpful. I was able to like actually get them notes that time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just for if we're gonna talk about, I mean, I think my biggest lesson or mistake from Old Wounds was, I guess, halt your ambition. Because I think the biggest mistake that I think this is the reason that neither of us really liked the film was because we tried to do way too much way too quick. It's this mistake that we always talk about on the show. It's making a short feature film instead of a short film, and I feel like Old Wounds is kind of like the embodiment of that. Like, we tried to have two different arcs for two different characters and all these side characters, and they go on like an adventure, and like in a 14-minute movie that was kind of our third real attempt at a film. um and it's like, cuz we with the Milk, we were really happy with how it came out, and we're like, yeah, this is actually good. I like it. I like kind of how it ended up. I like where it was going. And so, yeah, we passed this test, for lack of a better word. Let's do something bigger. Let's do something better. And of course, this can work a little bit. I've seen short features that aren't terrible the way Old
Hmm.
Wounds was, but I think if you just started making films, you should definitely work up to it slowly. And I don't have like the blueprint, like first do this, then include this and this, then that. But don't don't make ginormous jumps production wise like we did.
Yeah, for sure. I was actually curious about the creative decision to shoot at 12,800 ISO for the daytime woods
Oh
scenes.
my god.
I was wondering if you had any comment on that.
That was creative genius. I think Deacons would be in awe of my decision. I think he for anyone who doesn't know what he's talking about, I mean, and I guess nobody knows what he's talking about. I guess this lesson would be check your camera settings. Um, Also, okay, I'll talk about that in a second. But the previous night, because we were doing a car shot, like a car mounting, like a shot where we mounted the camera to a car at night. And so I was doing some tests on it the previous night. So I was at 12,800 ISO. When I got to set the next day, we were really rushed, which I'll get to in a second. Um, and I forgot to change the ISO back to 800. So as a result, we shot I think every single daytime shot at 12,800 ISO with like 9 stops of ND. And on a full frame sensor that looks fucking horrendous.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I don't even did we even catch that like the day of?
No,
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't
I,
think we. I don't think
I,
we
I
did.
think, I think we caught it when it was like the same day, the night scenes, and I was like, okay, cool, time to switch my camera to 12,800 ISO to, I don't know, get more exposure for the night scenes, and it just fucking went black. I'm like, oh, cool.
Hmm. And what about like some of the interior? Because I'll be putting B-roll in this podcast, by the
Sure.
way, just so that people can like understand what we're talking about. But
Okay.
what do you think some of the biggest stuff was with the indoor scenes? Like, what was why did that? Because it when I think of those shots, like we talk about the one, the shot I'm talking about with the
Yeah.
yeah, Elijah Monroe's the back of his head. Like, what about that makes it like I guess not as epic as we thought it would be in our minds? Like, what happened there?
I think a lot of that specifically was, I don't know if getting rushed is the right word, but I feel like I didn't have a ton of time to mess around with different compositions for this. Um, we were just vastly under, like, if there's like one overarching message to take away from this podcast, it's prepare. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Barack Obama or some shit. Um,
Obama.
Obama said that. Like, I mean, this is just kind of like basic cinematography stuff. Like, if you're like cinematography 101, it's like the way you make interesting frames is by having depth and contrast in your shot. And there's a ton of different ways to do that, but we had neither depth nor contrast in there. And so, like, if we were to do it again, I would also like change the location that scene takes place just to get a more interesting shot visually, because it just like the back of someone's head in the same shot as two people sitting in front of a white wall.
Yeah,
So
that's very true. I think also another thing I learned from Old Wounds, which again I think honestly Old Wounds was where I like learned a lot of just like the beginner mistakes, because it was such a large scope film. I think we encountered a lot more issues than we otherwise would have with a regular short. But that I think the next thing would be just also casting your or not casting your friends, but I guess putting your friends as crew, because we had and we still do this obviously, but I think we kind of put our friends in who are more film people. Like Dean, for example, he's our friend, but he's also like an actual like film guy.
yeah,
So we I think we were, and also the people that we have been using, we've been using them enough times to the point where they've also learned with us, and so that they have more experience. Like Eric, for example, Eric just kind of we kind of like threw him in the first couple projects we made, and then now he like actually knows what he's doing. But we had Eric on, what was he, even like a script supervisor, and we didn't really know what that was, and we were just like, yeah,
yeah,
supervise the scripts, and then he like left like an hour later. He was like barely there. And we had like Sean on audio and stuff, and that's a mistake we've made a couple times with just thinking that certain roles are kind of throwaway. Like, oh, you want to be part of our film, we'll put you in like a role like this, and that's like actually a pretty important thing, like sound or script supervisor as well. But don't put your friends as your actors or your crew unless they are actors or crew in real life.
yeah. And I think if, because obviously not everybody has like a group of friends to make films with, but if there are three people in a friend group that want to make movies, I wouldn't say one person specialized as director because that doesn't really make sense. But if one person's director, have the other two people specialize as a DP, and I would argue first AD, because first AD is something that we didn't have until later that year, and a good first AD in terms of scheduling and getting the logistic stuff done is completely invaluable when you're talking about making a film.
Exactly. What was our next film after that? I think we
I think it was I'll see you again.
That's so weird because I feel like we make a lot of movies, but I guess we make a lot of
Dude,
we make a lot
that
of
was like a that was like a year ago.
I'll see you again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. That was well, that, yeah. Actually, no, that was August and September of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think for those, I can't. How about you? You go with cinematography first, and I'll think of like some directing mistakes I made with that.
The biggest thing I think is I don't think I did a ton badly with this. I don't know how much I would change um in regards to the cinematography, mostly because we had a really limited amount of time and a really limited space for that. I think the biggest thing I would do, and I still want to try to do this a little bit more. I still want to practice this when it comes to outside stuff. Is if you're doing external stuff, I wish I used a lot more negative fill. Um, Obviously this is specific to cinematography, like kind of all my stuff, because that's what I'm kind of learning and focusing on. But I wish, like, for the whole opening sequence, there was just somebody with a 4 by neg on one side of the actor. Um, I saw this film the other day. There was like some guy who like posted on it on Reddit. It was like this film with like 4.5 5 minute film of two guys playing chess at a park. And it was like they were like kind of speaking in code the whole time with like whatever, and at the end it's like the main guy, long story short, it's whatever, um all outside basically the conversation between the two guys. And they posted a BTS pic. I'll see if I can send it to you after the fact so you can flush it up. If not, whatever. But the BTS picture that they shared, all they did was negative fill. And it's just crazy. If we're talking about, once again, like contrast and shaping the image, one of the easiest ways you could do that is with shadow and just adding a
Hmm.
shadow to this one side of somebody's face. It just makes it look a lot more dynamic.
Do you think I'll see you again was too flat?
Yeah. Like looking back at it, I think so. I tried to do a lot. I mean, also a lot of it was out of my control back then. I didn't really know how to do like what I just said, like shape light outside in soft light. Because the two ways that you shape light outside with two different conditions, if there's sun, you try to put the sun behind the actor and reflect some of it back onto his face or their face, so you get like a harsh backlight, and then their face is level. Or if it's overcast, if it's shade, then you do put negative fill to one side of the actor's face. And I'm not sure if I knew how to do either back then, but I think I definitely should have utilized negative fill a little bit more. And I to be fair, I do think the flat-ish color palette and cinematography kind of works for LCU again, just because of how grim it is. But I would have liked to at least try to do a little bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense. I how much of that is like also determined before the like before post? Like, can you kind of bring some of that contrast back in with color?
Yeah, yeah, you could. I haven't done it with a while, but for a lot of the projects that I've done recently where I've color graded it, I have sort of added a power window to kind of
Hmm.
try to darken the side of somebody's face. If you don't know how to do negative fill on the day, you don't really know how to do that. To be fair, unless you're
That's
like a
true.
dedicated colorist.
That's true.
If
Yeah.
you're talking about someone who does everything kind of going up, like the easiest way to do it is just have somebody hold a piece of black fabric on the camera side of the actor.
Yeah, that's true. Also, like it's sort of like you can't you know you can definitely do stuff after the fact, but if you know if you can do it beforehand, then why not just do the
Yeah,
extra 2 seconds of effort because that will save you a lot of time. It takes longer to do those things after the fact, and it's just an unnecessary waste of time for post production. Um, I think for me, for I'll see you again was I have a few things for it, but I think one of my main things was being a bit of a indecisive director. I'm not
mm,
sure exactly where that came from. I think a lot of it was just we were dealing with Phoenix and Phoenix Brewer. He's just a fantastic actor, and I was very it's essentially one character the entire time, and I was very unsure. I knew how I wanted to have this character portrayed, but I was definitely intimidated to like portray this kind of character, because it was a lot of emotion, a lot of stuff like that. And I also think he kind of like nailed it a lot. So I sort of, every time he did something, I just automatically was like, yes, that's like exactly what I was looking for. So I don't know if that was like my mind overwriting what I wanted to fit like what he was doing. But I definitely think that on that film, just also with crew decisions and stuff, I don't have like too many specific examples, but I think now I'm a lot more. I remember I like wrote down in my notes the day after we wrapped, and I put down something in my notes basically saying like always have a critique on the on like just every like at least once on every take if time allows for it. Doesn't have to be a critique. It could be it could be a you know, praising someone too. Like that was a great thing you did. Like not just like, oh, that was good, but like that was good because of this reason. Or I didn't like that because of this reason. I think I'm a lot more confident in doing that now than I was back then. And I don't know how much of that is noticeable with the film. But that is a huge thing that I think that a lot of indie filmmakers are kind of in the same boat with that right now.
What do you feel like? Because you said you're more confident with that now. Do you think that confidence just comes with experience, or is there something you've like done, seen, heard that kind of made a click in your head?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, I think it's a bit of both. I think some of it was just working more with different actors and realizing that they want to hear what you want to say. Like they want to hear your critiques. They want to hear what they can do better, because at the end of the day, they're not there to steal the show. They're there to kind of make your ideas come to life, just like
Mm.
everyone else on the crew. So just getting to know more of the actor's philosophy, that definitely made it a less intimidating, because I don't feel like I'm critiquing them. If I go up to, you know, one of our actors that we worked with a few times, Zach, if I go up to him and say, hey, I'm looking for, you know, maybe this character went through this and this, I just know that he's not taking it as like oh, I fucked up. It's like, oh, I have a thing to do now. I'll do that on the next take. So I think that was a huge thing, just kind of realizing that they
Mm.
want to learn just like how I want to learn.
Yeah, just that a lot of the good, at least the good actors, I would I would assume, take it less so of a criticism and more of a constructive criticism. And if you want to get better at anything, you have to learn how to take constructive criticism.
Yeah, very true. And then another thing with I'll See You Again, which I think kind of goes into one of our more recent projects as well, that we've done since then, is just kind of being I don't know how many times we talked about this on the podcast, but out of the podcast, I know we for sure have talked about it. But just, I guess, making it not so long, I guess, or drawn out, because I know it's a slow burn, but it's a 10-minute slow burn, so it's not really a slow burn, but it kind of feels like a longer film. And I remember one of the most valuable critiques. I mean, we got a couple valuable critiques, but the second most valuable one, I think, was saying like how this, you know, 10-minute film felt like a 14-minute film or whatever it was. And I think that made me
Yeah.
realize like I could definitely make this film more engaging. There was also that comment that I um, that just sort of explained like for short films and the way short films are kind of done now, especially in the era of YouTube, it should actually have a hook. It doesn't actually degrade your film in any way to have it be a little bit more, for lack of a better term, YouTubey, because it's going to get more people engaged in the film. And how could that really be a bad thing? And I think I learned a lot more about how to make films engaging without necessarily make them. It's not like I'm making the film more fun. It's just I'm making the film more entertaining, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and obviously we've talked about this, I know for a fact, before on the show, but like I think that all filmmakers need to take something away from social media content and YouTube videos, at least in terms of generating a strong hook. In terms of obviously the place that you should figure that out is in the writing phase of making a film. And I know we had a conversation the other day with a person that we work with a little bit, and who's expressed interest in acting. How there was, he said that there are some people who there's like this thing that some trailers do where it's like trailer starts now. While showing like some really quick flashes of the trailer.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think that's a little but I think definitely imagine what people are going to be thinking kind of in the first like I don't know 30 seconds of the film, because hooking people especially if you're new, if you're starting out, I don't think you have the right to be like, dude, just wait until minute 8 and then it'll all make sense and it'll pay off and it'll blow your mind. It's like, no, you have to. You're not Christopher Nolan. You're not Tarantino. You have to get me interested within the first like 30 seconds. And there's also um a like, I don't know if it's literary, but like a technique called the promise of the premise. I don't know if you know what this is. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but it's like you hear a tagline of the movie, and that tagline delivers a promise, and it has to kind of like pay off at some point. Um, Ideally, you should let the audience like know that you didn't clickbait them kind of as soon as possible. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head here. Name a popular movie.
Inglorious Bastards.
Sure. So the promise of the premise is, fuck.
Was that a terrible choice?
I think so.
Star Wars, first film.
Okay, let me look up the plotline of Star Wars. So the whole concept, the whole promise of the Star Wars premise. I thought of one. I thought of a better example. Take Raising Arizona, for example. The whole promise of that movie, you see it in the trailers, you see it in the marketing, the tagline, everything is this man steals a baby and chaos ensues over him doing that. And throughout the runtime, the Coen brothers kind of deliver on that promise of, okay, guy steals baby, chaos ensues, all around the kind of promise of that premise. If you come up with an idea for your movie and your movie doesn't relatively quickly deliver on that idea, then it's going to feel like a lot longer than it is, and it's going to feel like a little bit of a slog.
Yeah, that's true. I think also another thing with that is, like, we could do a trailer for before the short film, like that would work. Maybe that might be a bit too much, but we can definitely mess around with stuff like that, see how that turns out, because people do kind of weird things with their film. When Amaletto started putting the movie's like basically description or tagline in the title, like man loses job and does this, like that's kind of, it probably seemed weird at first, but that kind of it's proven to work. Like that is just provably they get more views than pretty much any other like short film hosting thing in the world, kind of for that reason. And I think sometimes you kind of have to do some weird stuff that doesn't seem very conventional or orthodox to get attention. And with I'll See You Again, I kind of have two experiences when I watch it. The first experience is when I see it at a film festival. And when you're at a film festival, you're pretty much, unless you walk out, which would make you kind of like the biggest dick in the world. But especially for a short, smaller festivals, maybe for con, that's a bit more allowed, but or expected maybe. But with you're essentially forced to watch the short film that you're like all the short films that you're paying to see. And so it being a slow burn then isn't really that big of a deal. I think also, like, of course, it's always better to be more engaging, but I've have very fond memories watching it in the theater with people. And that build up to the big climax of the film, it felt very satisfying to like watch people like react to it. But then the second experience I have is when I like click on when I search for it on YouTube, or I like go to your channel on YouTube and I click on it and then I watch the video, or like that feels a bit different. It feels a bit more of like a slog. It feels more like, why didn't we like edit this in a different way? So I think like context definitely matters. But if I made it for a festival, I might have done it the way I did it, like the way it looks right now. But that doesn't mean that it's good for the YouTube version of it. But I think if I edited it for the YouTube version, like making it all YouTubey, and then put that in the festival, I think it still would have probably actually done better at the festival. So, I think that you are absolutely right. You definitely can learn from, the social media kind of philosophy.
Yeah, definitely. Was that the last one before Study People?
I believe so. We started I Study People in March of this year, that seems, I didn't realize how close we filmed I'll See You Again and I Study People right? Because that's
Yeah.
pretty close together.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't think there's anything in between those.
Do you have anything for that for aesthetic people?
Yeah, I think I have a few. I mean, I think one thing I would recommend for directors is definitely just actually take a second to look at all the stuff you have pre-production wise. Like, look at your shot list and actually visual, like, go through each shot and visualize every shot. Go through the script and visualize the script in real time. Just like close your eyes and imagine the film playing before you, and really know what you want. Sometimes a director being indecisive just actually comes from the director not knowing like what they want. I could go to a set and then they could be like, hey, do you want me to wear a hat in this one? Or I could wear a blue hat, or I could wear like glasses. It just, you can kind of just say like whatever you want, but just think of that before. Like, think of like just pretty much anything you can. Don't overwhelm yourself. Write stuff down and, you know, take notes and stuff. But I think I vastly underestimated how good it is to be just visually prepared and like have knowledge on set, because there's a lot of times where just a minor like, hey, do you want this like cup in frame or whatever, the like just random stuff, and I just kind of was like, sure, like little things, sure, you don't have that need to have an opinion on every single little detail, but I definitely felt unprepared some days where I was just like, I don't know what the fuck, I don't know what shot we're getting, I don't know what the shots look like, I don't know, I didn't like take a look, I didn't like think it through enough, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's understandable. I think that that is also just something that you learn as you make more stuff, and as you kind of think, because like when you first start out, you start off with like, okay, I need to improve the big ticket items, right? Like how to direct actors, or how to, like I don't know, I guess for cinema, like shape light, I guess, or just like how to get correct exposure on an image. But as you kind of progress through your career and through your skill set, you kind of start to slowly get those down, and then you have to kind of turn your attention toward the kind of smaller ticket items, right? Like kind of like what you just mentioned, and how to shape exact, and like putting splashes of light in the background as opposed to just getting people's faces right. And yeah, I think that's definitely a valuable thing for some directors to take away.
And then what do you think of because I Study People is currently around 14 minutes. I think the first cut was like closer to 20, but
Hmm.
what are some things with the video? Because I know we've talked about coverage being a huge one.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was gonna mention here. It's kind of a weird conundrum, and then a lot of it also just, as you kind of get more like further along in the career, you start to understand why movies take as long as they do. For example, my mistake that I was going to bring up is get more coverage than necessary, uh specifically for the use case of if you get into post, in case you have to cut the movie down. um there was one, what ended up being like a 3 minute long scene that is just two people talking, and the only shots I got of that conversation was the shot and the reverse shot, nothing else. And it kind of worked out when we had to cut it down, because we had enough coverage for that, but we didn't really have enough coverage to make it more visually interesting. And I think that's something that I'm still learning to this day. And like I don't know if I have a super strong point for this, because we kind of just got off the film set and we haven't done a ton of stuff to kind of put the lessons that we learned from that movie into practice. But I think that you should shoot more than you need, and try to get a lot of different angles for key scenes. Like if it's just a 1 minute conversation in a 60-minute movie, that's fine. You don't really have to do a whole lot there. But when this back and forth conversation takes like probably a third of the runtime, try to do something to make it visually interesting, whatever you think that would be on your end.
Hmm. And yeah, I think that kind of goes even into our most recent film that just came out, Finger Guns. Our most proud project to date.
I keep
Yeah,
forgetting that
I think
exists.
I know, like, that's the thing is we've done so many, you know, we've only talked about like what, like 3 or 4 films in this, like, that we've discussed our mistakes for, but we've done a lot around that, just micro project wise. And they're very easily forgettable because they don't take too long to make. But yeah, with finger guns, I think that was another thing. Is there's not a whole lot of shots, even though it's kind of a supposed to be a bit more of like a comedy, a bit more of like an action kind of thing going on. Like there's the easiest shot I think that I can think of that we missed, that we should have gotten, was just like a close up of Blake being flipped over just to show that he was dead.
Yeah.
Because there's just like a 20-second take of Jay just being like, "Oh my god, no, he's dead, no," and just like for like a very long time. And so, I think that it's obviously a balance because you don't have infinite time, so you can't get 100 different angles of every scene, but you also should not get just one or two. You should definitely try to get more when you can, and sometimes you don't need to. But and yeah, another thing too is that the I study people with a lot of flashbacks, a lot of montages and stuff. And when you have montages that are just like a 10-second slow rolling shot, and that's it, that's the actual like scene you're cutting to, you can't really like make that snappy. And it's kind of
Yeah.
you kind of can, you can like you can do like those like little jump cuts, but that kind of would make it feel like disjointed because we didn't really plan for that in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy. Like I'm kind of just scrolling through it now, and I'm actually pretty happy with how the cinematography of Finger Guns played out. Um, it's the style I used kind of invoked like a TV show almost, where it's very simple. The setups that we were doing were basically just key light from the other side of the actor and then backlight from wherever it would be motivated from. And I'm pretty sure that's what they do in a lot of TV because they have to shoot stuff really quick. And we had to shoot this really quick. We had like what 6 hours for the entire movie, which is like nothing. And kind of bouncing off of what I was saying earlier, it's the more you kind of make these, the more you understand. Because we're talking about OCD, for example, right? Luca Pizzolatto's recent film with Stephen Ogg in it. He said that he shot the convenience store stuff over like 3 days, 4 days. And like, if you just knew, it's like, wow, that's a 12-minute film. You're saying you can't shoot the entire thing in 4 days. It's like, no. Like, if you're getting as many shots as he is and you're doing as many different setups and you're doing as much as you can to make it visually interesting, you're going to need more time than you think to make those.
Yeah, I think, and that kind of goes back to our film that we were talking about earlier with "I'll See You Again." We only did that, and we did that in 2 days. And honestly, like thinking back now about that, like that's absolutely insane. Like I can't actually
Yeah.
comprehend how the fuck we did that. I I mean, I'm pretty sure you almost fucking. I think everyone almost died on the way home. Honestly, like I know you were telling me that you were like super drowsy. I think I had like page drive, and then I was like, oh my, and I was like fucking. I couldn't even drive, bro. I was so dead. But
Yeah, I had to get out of the car like a couple of times just to like fucking like do push-ups and like wake myself up.
that's so fucking good, bro.
It's
God,
so
the
dumb.
fucking war film.
Literally.
Yeah, but that would have, again, if we just had spent, and we had the ability to spend the night at the house. I have zero idea as to why we did not do that. But that is another great point. Just if you need more days, just if you can, just try to split a day at least in half. Maybe make it 2 days instead of one. I'm honestly a little bit nervous actually going into our next film just because of that, because we're
Yeah.
doing a one day film. I don't know if you all right, well, sorry, we'll talk about that later, never mind. But yeah, I think that is just a very important thing for everyone involved, including the cast, including the crew.
Yeah, I was actually about to bring that up too because it's like this one's different. It's because it's like what 8 pages total of script. Um, I explicitly wanted to do like a full 8 hour shoot or a full maybe even 10 hour shoot. We'll see what our first AD cooks up in terms of scheduling, but like I think we could easily take 2 days on this. I don't know if it would make it better in relation to what we would have to like spend to get the second day. Um but I want to kind of take full advantage of the day and like just kind of spend as much time as possible on set just so we get enough of everything that we need when we go into editing.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see how it ends up turning out. Um,
Yeah, I'm
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 hope
more confident with this one than like finger guns, for example, just because like you've done a lot of scheduling, you've done a lot of sorry, not scheduling, rehearsals. You've done a lot of preparation. We've scouted it multiple times. We have a production designer. We have a solid shot list, I think. Um, but yeah, I think that obviously hindsight will be 2020, but I think that one of our mistakes for this could be not taking a second day for it. And if we have to, we can take a second day for it. Like we have no reason to rush it. But I'm gonna do everything I can to prepare for it so we get everything that we need on the first day.
well, we are flying an actor from LA, so that might be a bit difficult to get a second day done.
Yeah.
Um, I don't. I'd probably be too late to try to figure that out now, but we'll talk
All right.
off pod because I have some stuff with this because Carson's done with the schedule.
Okay.
So we'll go over that in a second. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I
definitely gonna prioritize all of our LA actors coverage first. So if we really need to, we'll be able to bring the other two people who are locals kind of back for some reshoots as long as we have all the other guys stuff done.
Yeah, that's actually interesting because I am scamming. I'm scanning through Finger Guns right now, and I do see what you mean by it's kind of filmed like a TV show. Like it has this very like sitcom kind of feel where you can just tell the lights are it's all just like exactly what you need and nothing like too complicated on top of that, you know? It's all
Yeah,
very super simple.
and I think it kind of works for this for a comedy. Like
Yeah.
I'm actually it's the first conversation between Jay and Aspen. I really like the shot of Jay. It's just like I'm assuming there'll be a screenshot up here, but it's just like it has this nice checkerboard pattern on his face. Where it's like, okay, it's light, it's dark. It's light on his face, it's dark on his face. It's light, it's dark, it's light. Um and I've been watching Suits recently too, and you can totally tell, like, yeah, dude, they set up two lights and said, "Fuck it, let's go," because we need this content. Um, and that's just kind of the name of the game in TV shows and faster turnaround projects. It's like, yeah, we don't have the fucking time or money to spend an entire day getting these three shots. We just have to kind of get it passable, get it to look good enough, and then move on to the next. So that's kind of what we did with this, given that we only had like what 5-6 hours to film it.
Yeah. There's also one film we have not mentioned at all, which is Death Knows My Name.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
which I think we have some good stuff we could kind of talk about that. I mean I don't know like directing wise what the biggest because I think I don't know is that the only film I guess maybe Old Wounds because you technically wrote I mean I guess I came up with the story for it though but because I think Eric did the story and or did we I guess we kind of came up with the story with him right like we both all kind of collectively made the concept for it
I
and
think so,
then
yeah.
yeah, and then he ended up making the actual script. But yeah, I think I don't know. It's I think it's just too long and a bit too slow. I don't know exactly like what I would have to watch it again to figure out like directing wise what I could do. But I think I have fond memories filming it, but it's not my favorite now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that just kind of mirrors all the other points I was making with time because we shot that whole thing. How long is it? Like 7.5 minutes.
It is, yeah.
We shot that in 4 hours,
Yep.
and so we were kind of like, I think given the limitations that we had, I think it's kind of my favorite looking film so far that I've ever shot, just because of the atmosphere of it and what the final product ended up looking like. I think I did as well as I could for 4 hours. I would have loved more shots and more shot variety. And I also think, honestly, I'm kind of glazing myself here, but like I think I did as good as I could given it's two people talking for 7 minutes in a bar and we had 4 hours to shoot it. Um, I don't think I would have changed anything personally, minus like the go back on the script and kind of the material we were working with. But I'm happy with how it came out personally.
Yeah, I I mean, I also I have some qualms obviously with the like I wish we got someone to score it. I wish we had someone who could sound design it better.
Sure.
Because I just kind of did not know. I just threw on some like ambience and then didn't really do much. Like there's a lot of stuff I could have done. There could have been like cool stuff with, the footsteps and the just like the different bar sounds, like of someone like putting stuff away or whatever. I have zero clue like exactly creatively what to do with that. But yeah, I don't have too many issues at all with the cinematography. I think all the lighting and stuff it complements the scenes very well. I like the what are those called? French overs. The
Yeah.
like the yeah.
Yeah,
I
when it's
just love
behind
those.
him.
That was a great like I'm very glad we didn't decide to go like on the other side of the bar and try to film them like more normally. Because this just like looks so much more interesting. And also you get like the cool lights and like the glasses and like the reflections of the bar because you can see it when like on this shot I'm looking at of Aspen, you can see like on her left, it's like all this beautiful like reds and greens and stuff of like all the like different glasses that are in the like on the in behind the bar.
Yeah.
Um, I think like I guess maybe like the one thing I'm like not crazy about is like that one wide that we got from like behind. Just because I feel like I think one of them was out of focus. Like the very first time we cut to it, it was like out
Yeah.
of focus. But not even that. It still like looks good. So I have very fond memories of actually filming it. I think that we had that was like our first time we had like a very solid crew too. I think everyone there was
Yep.
actually a filmmaker in some way. Which is another thing as well. Like always just reach like because I met one of the people who worked on us with this film, at like a little film club down in San Francisco. So just always when you can, if you live in an area where there's any kind of some semblance of film activity, like definitely try to like hit it up and get to meet people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's all I have. Do you have any other miscellaneous lessons from any films that you think you should share?
Um, I get like not really. Do you want to? I mean, maybe mention something about like, did you do anything? Oh, yeah, I guess you could kind of talk about like the idea of using the Canon camera for lessons learned and like why you kind of chose that one over the FX3, which is a great camera.
Yeah, I think this is a film that we shot. When was this? Like July 24, I think.
Oh God, I think it was May. I think it was May
Okay. Um
or
yeah,
April.
so the whole idea, I mean, a part of me just kind of wanted to mess around with a different camera. Part of me wanted to select the right because it was a film that all took place outside in like noon lighting. And I wasn't the most confident in my Tilta ND filters, and so I wanted to use a camera that had internal NDs. Part of it was just choosing the right tool for the job. Part of me was wanting to experiment with a camera that I hadn't used before, and it was similar enough, and I think it turned out well. I don't really think there's a ton to talk about there besides if you have multiple tools. It was the C300 Mark II, by the way. If you have multiple tools available to you, mess around with them and see, kind of find some of the strengths in some might do better than others. Um, and just try to pick what tool you think is right for any given job.
Very true. Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps us up. I don't really have too much more to yap about.
Cool. Yeah, if anybody watching has any lessons that they've learned from any of films that they've made, feel free to leave them in the comments below. We would love to hear them. We're always learning. Um, and any advice that you can give to people who are kind of learning below you would be much appreciated, just to help them learn and progress that much faster. If you want to check me out, I'm on Instagram at owencarter.dp. Jake, where are you?
I am at Jake Ross Bell on Instagram.
And if you want to learn all about the lovely world of vertical dramas, living in LA and being an actor down there, check out this episode that's been up on the screen for the past couple seconds with actor and friend Jasmine Alamova. You'll love Lunar Sigma Wolf with Girlfriend or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yes, it's a very interesting thing that had zero knowledge about. I mean, we knew like what they were, but we didn't really know much about the behind the scenes. So definitely check that one out.
Yeah, it was a good conversation. It'll be there. Check it out. And thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope you have a great day.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
What?
I hate IFI. Love. Yeah, I think honestly, maybe we should do